Commander Park Dae-ho stood at the back of the Federation War Council chamber, watching the alien generals argue. His dark eyes moved from one speaker to another as they discussed their latest defeat. The Vorthon Empire had destroyed another Federation fleet and panic filled the room. "We lost 12 ships in 3 hours. General Thexvar clicked through his translator. The tall, blue-skinned Kraxan warriors' forearms gestured wildly. "Their shields are too strong. Our weapons cannot break through." Park said nothing. He had studied the battle reports. The Federation kept using the same tactics over and over. Attack the front. Fire all weapons. Charge forward with honor. The Vorthons had learned to expect this. They were ready every time. Ambassador Yunmina sat near the front of the chamber. She was the only other human in the room. Her black hair was pulled back in a neat style, and she wore the simple blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. She caught Park's eye and gave a small nod. "Perhaps," Yunmina said, standing up, "we should try different methods." The room went quiet. Admiral Velthon, the squid-like Veltharian who led the Federation fleet, made a sound like wet laughing. "Different methods? Child, we have fought wars for 1,000 years before your species learned to make fire. What could you possibly suggest?" Park felt his jaw tighten, but he kept his face calm. The aliens always talked like this. Humans had been in the Federation for 50 years, but they were still treated like children playing war games. "The Vorthons study our battles," Yunmina continued. "They know how we fight. They prepare for our tactics. Maybe we need tactics they cannot prepare for." "You mean dishonorable tactics," General Thexvar said. His voice carried disgust. "Kraxan warriors do not hide like cowards. We face our enemies with strength and courage. How is that working out?" Captain Kim So-ra asked from beside Park. She had not meant to speak so loudly, but her voice carried across the chamber. The alien generals turned to stare at the young human woman. Her short hair and serious expression made her look older than her 32 years. Admiral Velthon's tentacles moved in anger. "You dare mock our losses? Your people have never faced a real enemy. You know nothing of war." Park stepped forward. "We know enough." The chamber fell silent again. Park walked slowly toward the center of the room. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. He had fought in 3 small conflicts since joining the Federation. Each time, the alien commanders had given humans the simple jobs. Guard supply lines. Patrol empty sectors. Stay out of the way of real soldiers. "The Vorthons have won because they think differently than you do," Park said. "They do not care about honor. They care about winning. While you charge at their shields, they study your patterns. They learn how you fight. They prepare counters for everything you do." "And what would you do differently, human?" Admiral Velthon asked. Park looked around the room. He saw the same expression on every alien face. They thought humans were weak, small, unimportant. Good enough for carrying supplies, but not for real fighting. "Let us show you," Park said. The laughter started with Admiral Velthon and spread through the chamber. Even the serious Kraxan warriors made their clicking sounds of amusement. The idea of humans leading a military operation seemed funny to them. "You want to fight the Vorthons?" General Thexvar asked. "Your little ships and simple weapons against the Empire that crushed our best fleets?" "Not fight them," Park said. "Study them. Learn how they think. Find their weaknesses. A scouting mission," Admiral Velthon said. The amusement left his voice. "Yes, that is more suitable for humans. Very well. You may take your small ships and look at the Vorthons. Try not to die too quickly." Ambassador Yunmina stood again. "Commander Park will need full authority over his mission. No interference from Federation command." "Agreed," Admiral Velthon said quickly. "When the humans fail, we will return to real military strategies." Later, in the small human quarters aboard the Federation station, Park met with his team. Captain Kim So-ra spread tactical displays across the table. Lieutenant Lee Hyun-woo checked his equipment list. The young explosives expert always looked relaxed even before dangerous missions. "They think we are going to fail," So-ra said. "Good," Park replied. "Let them think that. It gives us freedom to work." "What is the real plan?" Lee Hyun-woo asked. His voice carried a slight accent from the southern regions of Earth. Park looked at the star maps on the display. The Vorthon Empire controlled 12 systems now. Their fleets were strong, their tactics proven against every Federation force. But Park had studied more than just the battle reports. He had studied the Vorthons themselves. "The Federation fights the way they have always fought," Park said. "Big fleets, direct attacks, Honor and courage. The Vorthans have learned to counter this, but they have never fought humans. We are not that different, Sora said. We are completely different, Park replied. We do not fight for honor. We fight to win. We do not follow old traditions. We adapt, we change. We do whatever works, Lee Hyunwoo grinned. They have no idea what humans can do when we really try. Park nodded. During the 50 years in the Federation, humans had been careful. They followed alien rules. They fought alien-style wars. They tried to fit in and prove they belonged. But the Vorthans were different. They were a real threat. The Federation was losing badly. It was time to show the galaxy what human warfare really looked like. We leave in 6 hours, Park said. Small ships. Small team. The aliens think we are on a simple scouting mission. Let them think that. And if we succeed? Sora asked. Park looked at the display showing Vorthon-controlled space. 12 star systems. Millions of alien soldiers, ships with shields that could stop any Federation weapon, an empire that had never lost a major battle. If we succeed, Park said, the galaxy will learn that underestimating humans is a very dangerous mistake. Ambassador Yun Mina appeared in the doorway. The council approved your mission. They seemed almost happy about it. They think we will die quickly and quietly, Park said. Will we? She asked. Park smiled. It was not a nice smile. The Vorthons are about to discover why humans spent 10,000 years fighting each other. They think they know about war. They have no idea. The human ships moved through space like shadows. Sergeant Cho Min-soo watched the scanner displays from his position in the stealth reconnaissance craft. The Vorthon fleet ahead showed no signs that they knew humans were watching them. Target system is Kepler 442, Corporal Han Ji-won reported from her station. Vorthon occupation force includes 37 ships. The planet has 2 million civilian refugees. Commander Park Dae-ho studied the tactical display. The Vorthons had positioned their ships in a perfect defensive formation. It looked impressive. It also looked exactly like the formations they used in every other system. They follow patterns, Captain Kim So-ra observed. Same ship positions, same patrol routes, same communication schedules. That is what I hope to see, Park said. Cho, take your team down to the planet. Avoid contact. Learn how they control the population. Cho Min-soo nodded. The thin, quiet man was perfect for stealth work. He could move through enemy territory like a ghost. What about the Federation observers? 2 alien officers from Federation Command were aboard the human ships. They were supposed to watch and report back. Admiral Velthon wanted to make sure the humans followed proper military procedures. Let them observe, Park said. They might learn something. The Federation observers were Sub-Commander Krex, a young Kraxan warrior, and Navigator Yilth, a Veltharian intelligence officer. They had both made it clear that they expected the human mission to fail quickly. Commander Park, Sub-Commander Krex spoke through the translator device. Your ships are too close to the enemy. This is not proper scouting procedure. What would be proper procedure? Captain Sora asked. Remain at safe distance. Use long-range sensors. Gather basic information. Return to base. Park looked at the alien officer. And learn nothing useful. Learn what can be learned safely, Krex replied. Your mission is reconnaissance, not suicide. Dr. Kang Woo-jin entered the bridge carrying a tablet full of data. The xenobiologist had been studying Vorthon communication patterns for weeks. His gray hair and tired eyes showed the long hours of work. I found something interesting, Dr. Kang said. The Vorthons use bioelectrical signals for their hive mind communication. The frequencies are very specific. Can we disrupt them? Park asked. Possibly. But it would require close-range transmission equipment. Navigator Yilth made a bubbling sound of disagreement. Attacking Vorthon communications would be an act of war. This mission is observation only. Everything is an act of war when you are fighting for survival, Park replied. On the planet below, Cho Min-soo and his team moved through the occupied city. The Vorthons had set up control points at regular intervals. Their soldiers were tall, insect-like creatures with hard shells and multiple arms. They moved in perfect coordination like parts of a single organism. They do not post guards at night, reported Private Nam Soo-jin through the comm device. They seem to think their technology makes guards unnecessary. Any weak points? Cho asked. They rely completely on their communication network. When one sees something, they all know about it instantly, but the communication nodes are not heavily protected. Cho smiled in the darkness. The Vorthons had never fought an enemy that would target their communication system. Federation forces always went for the biggest, most obvious targets: military bases, command ships, important buildings. Humans thought differently. Back on the ship, Corporal Han Ji-wan worked at her electronics station. She had been studying Vorthon communication signals for hours. Her young face showed concentration as she built something from spare parts. "What are you doing?" Sub-Commander Krex asked. "Building a signal jammer," Han Ji-wan replied without looking up. Human electronics are simple compared to Federation technology, but that makes them flexible. "Your primitive equipment cannot affect advanced Vorthon systems," Navigator Yilth said. Han Ji-wan looked up. "Want to bet?" She connected her device to the ship's communication array and activated it. The Vorthon patrol ships ahead immediately began moving erratically. Their perfect formation broke apart as individual ships lost contact with the hive mind. "Impossible," Krex whispered. "Simple," Han Ji-wan corrected. Federation electronics are designed to be compatible with everyone. They follow standard protocols. Human electronics are designed to work even when everything else fails. We can adapt to any frequency. The Vorthon confusion lasted only 3 minutes before they compensated for the jamming. But in those 3 minutes, Park saw everything he needed to know. They panic when they cannot communicate, he told Sora. The hive mind makes them strong, but it also makes them dependent. Dr. Kang pulled up biological data on his screen. "I have been studying their psychology. The Vorthons evolved on a world with no predators. They never developed individual survival instincts. They think as a group or not at all. What does that mean for us?" Lee Hyunwoo asked. "It means they have never faced an enemy that fights the way humans fight," Park said. On the planet, Cho Min-soo's team had planted small devices near Vorthon communication nodes. The devices were simple, just signal repeaters that Han Ji-wan had modified. They would not do much damage, but they would create confusion. "Ready to test the theory?" Cho asked through his comm. "Do it," Park ordered. The devices activated simultaneously across the city. For 30 seconds, they broadcast random signals on Vorthon communication frequencies. The effect was immediate. Vorthon soldiers stopped moving. Some began firing at empty air. Others started walking in circles. The perfect coordination of the hive mind became chaos when the signals were mixed up. "They cannot function as individuals," Dr. Kang observed. "When the group mind fails, they have no backup systems." Sub-Commander Krex stared at the displays in shock. "This is... How did you know this would work?" "Because we studied the enemy instead of just attacking them," Captain Sora explained. "Humans have fought many different kinds of enemies. We learned to find weaknesses." Navigator Yilth made rapid notes on his tablet. "Admiral Velthon must hear about this immediately." "Not yet," Park said. "This was just a test. The real work starts now." Over the next few days, the human teams conducted what the Federation observers called impossible operations. They infiltrated Vorthon bases without triggering alarms. They sabotaged equipment in ways that looked like accidents. They spread rumors among occupied populations that made the Vorthons waste resources chasing false threats. "Your people fight without honor," Sub-Commander Krex said after watching Cho's team use deception to eliminate a Vorthon patrol. "Our people fight to win," Park replied. "Honor is for after the war is over." Lieutenant Lee Hyunwoo had been particularly creative. His explosives did not destroy targets directly. Instead, they created failures that forced the Vorthons to divert ships and soldiers to investigate. A damaged sensor array here, a disrupted supply line there, small problems that created big headaches. "The Federation would never approve of these tactics," Navigator Yilth said. "The Federation is losing the war," Captain Sora pointed out. "Maybe it is time to try something different." Dr. Kang completed his analysis of Vorthon psychology on the 5th day. They are overconfident because they have never faced adaptive opponents. Every species they conquered used predictable tactics. They expect us to do the same. "What happens when they realize we are different?" Park asked. "They will either adapt quickly or collapse completely. Their society has no experience with uncertainty." Park looked at the tactical displays. The human mission had been more successful than he had dared hope. They had learned how the Vorthons thought, how they communicated, and how they controlled territory. More importantly, they had learned how to disrupt all of these things. "Time to go home," he told his team. "What will you report to Federation Command?" Sub-Commander Krex asked. Park smiled. That humans are ready for real work. The small human fleet left the Vorthan system as quietly as they had arrived. Behind them, the Vorthan occupation force was still trying to understand what had happened. Their reports to High Command spoke of equipment failures, communication problems, and unexplained accidents. None of the reports mentioned humans. The Vorthans had not seen any human soldiers. They had no idea they were being studied. They thought the problems were just bad luck. That was exactly what Park had wanted. Colonel Bak Sung-ho stood in the Federation War Council chamber as the emergency session began. The Vorthan Empire had responded to the small disruptions in their territory by sending their most elite forces. The Deathwing battalions were moving toward Federation space with 60 ships and their most experienced commanders. This is what your reconnaissance mission accomplished, Admiral Velthon said, his tentacles moving in anger. You stirred up the enemy. Now they send their best warriors against us. Commander Park Daeho remained calm. We learned how they think. That knowledge is worth the risk. Knowledge will not stop Deathwing ships, General Thexavar clicked. We need to prepare our defenses, gather our fleets, meet them with honor in battle. Colonel Beck looked at the tactical displays. The Federation was already moving ships into defensive positions. 3-star systems would be fortified. The alien commanders planned to make their stand at the Proxima Junction, where several space lanes met. That is exactly what they expect you to do, Bayek said quietly. The chamber went silent. All eyes turned to the older human officer. His gray hair and lined face showed decades of military experience. Before joining the Federation, he had fought in the last war between Earth's nations. What did you say? Admiral Velthon demanded. I said the Vorthons expect you to gather your forces and fight them directly. They are prepared for that. They want that. Then what do you suggest, human? General Thexvar asked. Should we run away like cowards? Sometimes, Bayek replied. The outrage from the alien commanders was immediate. They shouted in 6 different languages about honor and duty and courage. But Ambassador Yunmi Na raised her hand for silence. Colonel Beck, she said, please explain. Beck walked to the tactical display and pointed at the Federation defensive positions. You are thinking like defenders. The Vorthans are thinking like attackers. Both sides know exactly what will happen. The Vorthans will bring more ships and better weapons. They will win. So we should surrender? Admiral Velthon asked with disgust. We should change the game, Beck said. Make them fight a war they are not prepared for. Major Shinya Jin entered the chamber carrying a data pad. The information warfare specialist had been working with intelligence reports for days. Her neat appearance and sharp eyes missed nothing. The Deathwing battalions are moving faster than expected, she reported. They will reach Federation space in 12 days. Then we have no time for human games, General Thexvar said. We must prepare our defenses now. No, Colonel Beck said. We evacuate. The chamber erupted again. The alien commanders could not believe what they were hearing. No Federation force had ever abandoned territory without a fight. It went against everything they believed about military honor. You want to give them 3-star systems? Admiral Velthon asked. I want to give them empty space, Beck replied. Let them conquer nothing. Let them waste time securing systems with no value. Captain Kim Sora understood immediately. While they are spread out across worthless territory, we hit their supply lines. Exactly, Beck said. The Vorthans fight one kind of war. Big fleets attacking big targets. They do not know how to fight enemies who refuse to stand still. Private First Class Ryu Taiwan was already in position in the asteroid field near the Vega system. The young sniper had been hiding there for 3 days, waiting for the Vorthon advance scouts. His modified rifle could fire across enormous distances in the vacuum of space. Through his scope, he watched a Vorthan command ship approach. The insect-like creatures inside had no idea they were being hunted. They expected Federation forces to be gathered at defensive positions, not hiding in asteroid fields. Ryu waited until the ship was in perfect position. One shot. The ship's communication array exploded in a shower of sparks. The Vorthons inside would be blind and deaf for hours while they made repairs. Target neutralized, he reported through his comm. Moving to secondary position. The Vorthan ship sent distress signals, but Ryu was already gone. The asteroid field had hundreds of hiding places. By the time Vorthon search teams arrived, they found nothing but empty space. Meanwhile, Major Shinya Jin was conducting her own kind of warfare. She had infiltrated Vorthan communication networks during Park's reconnaissance mission. Now she was using that access to spread false information. Vorthan High Command believes Federation fleets are massing at the Centauri system, she reported to Colonel Bayek. They are sending 30 ships to intercept a force that does not exist. What? About the real Federation fleets? Beck asked. Admiral Velthon is very angry. He is moving ships to defensive positions exactly as the Vorthons expect. But I am making sure the Vorthons think those fleets are somewhere else. Dr. Kang Woo-jin had been studying Vorthon psychology since the reconnaissance mission. Their overconfidence is becoming a weakness. They assume their intelligence is always correct. They do not double-check information that confirms what they want to believe. The human strategy began to unfold across 3 star systems. While Federation fleets prepared for glorious battles that would never come, small human teams struck at targets the Vorthons never thought to defend. Lieutenant Lee Hyun-woo and his demolition team sabotaged fuel depots. The explosions looked like accidents. Sergeant Cho Min-soo infiltrated Vorthan bases and planted devices that would cause computer failures at critical moments. Corporal Han Ji-won jammed communications during important operations. This is not war, Sub-Commander Krex complained after watching a human team destroy a Vorthan supply convoy using captured weapons. This is chaos. This is adaptation, Colonel Bayek replied. Humans learn, we change. We do whatever works. The Vorthan Deathwing battalions arrived in Federation space exactly on schedule. They found the 3 abandoned star systems and began the process of securing them. It should have been simple. The Federation had run away. Victory was complete, but victory felt wrong somehow. Where are the Federation defenders? Deathwing Commander Zurthok asked his subordinates. Why did they abandon these systems without a fight? Perhaps they are cowards, suggested Battle Leader Vexnor. The Federation has never been cowardly, Zurthok replied. This does not match their patterns. While the Vorthons tried to understand why the Federation had fled, human teams continued their invisible war. Supply ships disappeared. Communication relays failed. Officers began reporting strange equipment malfunctions. It could be sabotage, suggested intelligence leader Kraxtal. By whom? Zurthok demanded. We have found no enemy forces. Our sensors detect nothing. Are we fighting ghosts? Ryu Taiwan smiled from his hiding place among the moons of a gas giant. The Vorthons were looking for big fleets and obvious enemies. They never thought to scan for a single human with a rifle. Another command ship approached his position. Another perfect shot. Another communication array destroyed. Ghost target eliminated, he reported. Vorthons are getting frustrated. The frustration was spreading through the Deathwing forces. They had conquered 3 star systems, but they did not feel like conquerors. Something was picking them apart piece by piece, and they could not fight what they could not find. Deploy search teams, Zurthok ordered. Find these saboteurs. The search teams found nothing. Human stealth technology was simple compared to Federation systems, but it was designed by people who had spent centuries hiding from each other. The Vorthons had never faced enemies who specialized in being invisible. Major Shin Ye-jin watched the Vorthan fleet dispositions from her command center aboard a hidden human ship. The information warfare campaign was working perfectly. Half the Deathwing forces were chasing false targets. The other half were spread too thin, trying to secure empty territory. They are starting to understand that something is wrong, she reported to Colonel Beck. But they still do not know what they are. Fighting? How long before they figure it out? Beck asked. Does it matter? By then we will be ready for the next phase. Colonel Bayek looked at the strategic display. The Vorthons controlled 3 star systems, but their forces were scattered and confused. Their supply lines were disrupted. Their communications were unreliable. Their officers were reporting problems that made no sense. The Federation thought the humans had abandoned them. The Vorthons thought they were fighting equipment failures and bad luck. Either side understood what was really happening. Phase 1 complete, Beck said to his staff. Time to show them what human warfare really looks like. General Lim Dong-hyun stood before the Federation War Council with a datapad in his hand. The authorization codes on the screen had taken 50 years to obtain. Now, for the first time since joining the Federation, humans had permission to fight without restrictions. The Council has approved unlimited human military operations, Ambassador Yun Mi-na announced. General Lim has full authority to deploy all available assets. Admiral Velthon's tentacles moved nervously. What assets? Human forces are small compared to Federation fleets. General Lim looked at the alien commander with steady eyes. The older man had gray hair and scars from old battles. We have been holding back our true capabilities for 50 years. You're about to see what human warfare looks like when we stop pretending to be like you. Impossible. General Thexvar clicked. We have seen your ships, your weapons, your training methods. There are no hidden capabilities. There are no hidden weapons, Lim agreed. But there are hidden ways of thinking. Captain Oh-Hai Rim was already in her fighter craft, leading a squadron toward the Vorthon-controlled Kepler system. Her ship looked like a standard Federation fighter, but the tactics she used were purely human. Beginning attack run, she reported through the comm. All pilots, remember your training. Ignore Federation flight protocols. Use human combat doctrine. The Vorthon defenders saw the human fighters approaching and prepared for a normal engagement. Federation fighters always attacked in formation. They followed predictable patterns. They tried to minimize casualties. Human fighters did none of these things. Oh-Hai Rim's squadron split apart as soon as they entered combat range. Each pilot chose different targets and different approaches. Some attacked from above. Others came in low. 2 pilots flew directly at the largest Vorthon ship with no intention of pulling away. What are they doing? The Vorthon tactical officer asked his commander. This is not Federation combat doctrine. They are committing suicide, the commander replied. Let them come. But the human pilots were not committing suicide. At the last moment, they released their weapons and used emergency thrusters to change direction. The Vorthon ship took direct hits while the defenders were still trying to understand what had happened. Human fighter doctrine prioritizes mission success over pilot survival. Captain O'Hiram explained later. We accept higher casualties to achieve better results. The Vorthon hive mind had never encountered this type of thinking. Individual sacrifice for group benefit was not something they understood. They fought as a collective, but they also tried to preserve each unit. Humans fought as individuals who chose to sacrifice for the mission. Master Sergeant Park Jin-woo was leading simultaneous operations across 7 star systems. His special forces teams had been preparing for weeks. Now they struck at Vorthon positions with precision and violence that shocked alien observers. Team Alpha has secured the communication hub on Tau Ceti 4, he reported. Team Beta is attacking supply depots on Proxima B. Team Gamma is infiltrating the command center on Wolf 359. How can you coordinate so many operations at once? Subcommander Krex asked. Federation doctrine requires centralized command. Human doctrine prioritizes individual initiative, Park Jin-woo replied. Each team leader knows the mission. They adapt to local conditions without waiting for orders. The concept was foreign to Federation military thinking. Alien forces required constant communication with higher command. Orders flowed down through rigid hierarchies. Individual soldiers never acted without permission. Human soldiers were trained to think for themselves. On Tau Ceti 4, Sergeant Cho Min-soo's team had taken control of the Vorthon Communication Center without firing a shot. They had simply walked in disguised as maintenance workers, disabled the guards with non-lethal weapons, and taken over the facility. Broadcasting false signals to Vorthon fleet, Cho reported. They think their ground forces are under heavy attack by Federation Marines. The Vorthon fleet immediately diverted ships to provide ground support against an enemy that did not exist. While they were distracted, Captain Oh-Hiram's fighters attacked their supply convoy. Dr. Kang Woo-jin monitored Vorthon communications from the human command ship. Their hive mind is starting to fragment. Too much conflicting information. Too many simultaneous crises. That is the point, General Lim said. We are not trying to destroy them directly. We are making it impossible for them to think clearly. Lieutenant Lee Hyun-woo was demonstrating human engineering creativity on Proxima B. Instead of simply destroying the Vorthon supply depot, he had reprogrammed their automated systems. Now the depot was producing defective equipment and shipping it to Vorthon forces. Their weapons will misfire at critical moments, he explained, to Navigator Yilth. Their ships will suffer engine problems. Their computers will crash during important operations. This is sabotage, not warfare, the Veltharian protested. This is total warfare, Lee Hyun-woo corrected. We use every advantage we can find. The Federation observers were struggling to understand what they were seeing. Human tactics violated every principle of civilized warfare. There were no formal battles. No honorable challenges. No respect for enemy capabilities. Humans simply found weaknesses and exploited them. Your people fight like criminals, General Thexvar said to General Lim. Our people fight like survivors, Lim replied. We evolved on a world where weakness meant death. We learned to do whatever was necessary to win. Major Shinya Jin had taken information warfare to levels the Federation thought impossible. She was not just spreading false intelligence. She was rewriting Vorthan tactical databases in real time. I have access to their central command network, she reported. Every order they send is being modified. Their ships are receiving instructions that make no tactical sense. How did you penetrate their security? Dr. Kang asked. I did not penetrate it. I convinced it to let me in. Human social engineering techniques work even on alien psychology. The Vorthan Deathwing forces were experiencing what their commanders called impossible coordination failures. Ships received conflicting orders. Ground forces were told to retreat and advance at the same time. Supply convoys were sent to empty locations. The humans are doing this somehow, Deathwing Commander Zurthak told his staff. But how? We have detected no major human forces. Perhaps they are using new technology, suggested Battle Leader Vexnor. No, Zurthak said slowly. They are using old technology in new ways. This is not about better weapons. This is about different thinking. Captain Ohirim's fighters had disabled 6 Vorthan ships without destroying any of them. Her pilots used precision strikes to damage engines and weapons while leaving life support intact. The disabled ships became rescue priorities that diverted Vorthan resources. Federation fighters try to destroy enemy ships quickly, she explained to the alien observers. Human fighters try to create maximum problems with minimum effort. Ryu Taiwan had eliminated 12 Vorthan commanders with his long-range rifle. Each shot was perfectly placed to disrupt command structures without triggering major responses. The Vorthans kept promoting replacement officers who then became new targets. They cannot adapt to individual initiative tactics, he reported. Their hive mind makes them predictable. The breakthrough came when Master Sergeant Park Jinwoo's teams completed their 7th simultaneous operation. Every major Vorthan facility in human-targeted systems was either captured, disabled, or feeding false information to enemy commanders. Vorthan forces are withdrawing from 2 systems, Major Shin Yejin reported. Their commanders cannot coordinate effective responses to distributed attacks. General Lim looked at the tactical displays. The Vorthans still had superior numbers and firepower, but their advantage meant nothing when they could not coordinate their forces or trust their information. Phase 2. Complete, he announced. Begin Phase 3. What is Phase 3? Admiral Velthon asked. General Lim smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. Phase 3 is when we stop being subtle. The alien observers had seen human stealth, human adaptation, and human psychological warfare. They had watched small human teams outmaneuver superior enemy forces through pure cleverness. Now they were about to see what happened when humans decided to fight directly, activating all human military assets. General Lim ordered. Time to show the galaxy what our species learned from 10,000 years of war. Admiral Song Jae-hyuk stood on the bridge of the Earth battleship Incheon as the human fleet emerged from hyperspace. Around him, 60 ships dropped their stealth systems and revealed themselves to the shocked Vorthan defenders. The enemy had expected maybe a dozen human vessels. Instead, they faced a fleet that had been hidden across 3 star systems. Begin Total War Protocol, Song commanded. The word sent a chill through the Federation observers on his bridge. Sub-Commander Krex and Navigator Yulth had seen human stealth and sabotage. Now they were about to witness something their species had never experienced. What is Total War Protocol? Krex asked. Admiral Song looked at the alien officer with cold eyes. It means we stop fighting like Federation members and start fighting like humans. On the planet below, Colonel Kim Da-eun was preparing her ground assault forces. The Vorthan Occupation Army controlled the major cities, but they had made a critical mistake. They had treated the civilian population according to their own cultural values. Vorthans did not understand individual resistance. Their hive-mind society had never developed concepts of personal rebellion. They expected conquered populations to accept their fate and submit to authority. They had never conquered humans before. Civilian resistance networks are active in all major population centers, Dae-Yun reported. Local humans have been organizing for weeks. The Vorthans never saw it coming. Dr. Kang Woo-jin had spent months studying Vorthan psychology. They cannot comprehend how individuals can resist without central coordination. The concept of spontaneous rebellion is alien to them. Then they are about to learn, Colonel Da-eun said. Technical Sergeant Yoon Sang-min was already on the planet's surface with his engineering corps, but instead of building human fortifications, they were modifying Vorthon technology. The insect-like aliens had left their equipment unguarded because they could not imagine enemies using captured weapons. Vorthon plasma cannons have been reprogrammed, Yoon reported. When they try to fire on our positions, the weapons will target their own forces instead. How is that possible? Navigator Yelth asked. Vorthon technology is designed for users who never fight each other, Yoon explained. They have no security protocols against reprogramming. Humans have been fighting with captured weapons for thousands of years. The space battle began when Admiral Song's fleet attacked the Vorthon defensive positions. But the human ships did not behave like Federation vessels. They did not form battle lines or follow standard tactical procedures. Human ships attacked individually, using tactics that seemed suicidal to alien observers. Some vessels rammed Vorthon ships directly, using their destruction to damage multiple enemy targets. Others used their own hulls as shields to protect smaller craft making bombing runs. Your ships are destroying themselves, Sub-Commander Krek said in horror. Our ships are winning, Admiral Song replied. Each sacrifice damages more enemy vessels than we lose. Captain O'Hirim's fighter squadron demonstrated the same philosophy. Her pilots flew their craft into Vorthon hangar bays, ejecting at the last moment while their ships exploded inside enemy vessels. Other fighters used their bodies as missiles, ramming command bridges with precise timing. This is madness, Navigator Yilt whispered. This is mathematics, Admiral Song said. We calculate acceptable losses to achieve strategic objectives. Federation forces try to preserve every ship. We preserve the mission. The concept was incomprehensible to alien thinking. Federation warfare was about minimizing casualties while achieving limited objectives. Human warfare was about accepting necessary casualties to achieve total victory. On the planet, Colonel Da-eun's forces were advancing through the capital city using tactics that shocked the Vorthon defenders. Human soldiers did not avoid civilian areas. They used them as cover, moving through buildings and underground tunnels that the Vorthons had never thought to defend. The humans are hiding behind civilians. Battle leader Vexnor reported to his commander. Then target the civilians, the commander replied. We cannot. Our programming prevents us from harming non-combatants. Colonel Da-eun had studied Vorthon military doctrine carefully. Their warrior caste was genetically programmed to protect civilian populations. It was considered the highest honor in their society. They literally could not force themselves to harm non-combatants. Humans had no such limitations. Vorthon forces are retreating from residential areas, Da-eun reported. They cannot fight effectively when civilians are present. That seems like an unfair advantage, Sub-Commander Krek said. War is not fair, Da-eun replied. War is about winning. Technical Sergeant Yoon Sang-min had turned the entire Vorthon infrastructure against them. Traffic control systems now directed their vehicles into dead ends. Water treatment plants had been modified to produce undrinkable liquid. Power grids failed in precise patterns that left Vorthon positions in darkness. You have destroyed their entire civilization, Navigator Yilth said in shock. We have disrupted their military operations, Yoon corrected. The infrastructure can be repaired after they surrender. And if they do not surrender? Yoon looked at the alien with steady eyes. Then we destroy everything and build new infrastructure. The space battle was reaching its climax as Admiral Song implemented the final phase of human naval doctrine. His remaining ships formed a sphere around the largest Vorthon vessel and began a coordinated ramming attack. You will lose your entire fleet. Sub-Commander Krex protested. We will eliminate their command ship, Song replied. The trade is acceptable. 20 human vessels sacrificed themselves to destroy one enemy ship. By Federation standards, it was a devastating defeat. By human standards, it was a tactical victory. The Vorthon fleet lost its coordination when the command vessel was destroyed. Their hive mind requires central coordination, Dr. Kang explained. Remove the central node and the entire network collapses. The remaining Vorthon ships began retreating in disorder. Without their command structure, Individual vessels could not coordinate effective responses to human attacks. They had superior technology in greater numbers, but they could not function as isolated units. Vorthon psychology makes them vulnerable to decapitation strikes, Admiral Song said. They never developed independent command capabilities. Major Shin Ye-jin was conducting her own form of total warfare from her Information Operations Center. She had not just infiltrated Vorthon communication networks, she had taken control of them completely. I am now broadcasting human psychological warfare messages directly to Vorthon soldiers, she reported. Their officers cannot stop the transmissions because they depend on the same networks for coordination. What kind of messages? Navigator Yilth asked. Messages designed to break enemy morale. Humans have studied psychological warfare for thousands of years. We know how to make enemies afraid to fight. The broadcasts were simple but effective. They told Vorthon soldiers that their hive mind was failing, that their commanders were dead, that resistance was hopeless, that surrender was the only rational choice. For a species that had never experienced individual doubt, the messages were devastating. Vorthon ground forces are requesting permission to retreat, Colonel Daeun reported. Morale is collapsing across all units. Their society has no experience with psychological pressure, Dr. Kang observed. They do not know how to resist mental warfare. Deathwing Commander Zurthak found himself facing a type of enemy his people had never encountered. The humans did not fight for territory or resources or honor. They fought to completely destroy their opponent's ability to resist. Request immediate reinforcements, he transmitted to Vorthon High Command. Human forces are using total warfare doctrine. Our current assets are insufficient. The response was immediate and shocking. No reinforcements available. Human attacks have disrupted command networks across 7 systems. All Deathwing forces are to withdraw and regroup. For the first time in Vorthon military history, their elite forces were retreating from an inferior enemy. How did this happen? Battle leader Vexnor asked. The humans were never inferior, Zurthak realized. They were hiding their true capabilities. Everything we thought we knew about them was wrong. Admiral Song watched the Vorthon fleet withdraw from the system. Human losses had been severe, but the strategic objective was complete. The enemy was retreating in disorder, their command structure shattered, their morale broken. Phase 4 complete, he announced. Vorthon forces are in full retreat. At what cost? Sub-Commander Krex asked, looking at the debris field where human ships had died. At acceptable cost, Admiral Song replied. We achieved total victory with limited resources. Technical Sergeant Yoon Sang-min was already working to restore the planet's infrastructure. His engineering teams moved with practiced efficiency, repairing the systems they had sabotaged during the battle. The civilian population will have full services restored within 48 hours, he reported. How is that possible? Navigator Yilth asked. Because we designed our sabotage to be easily reversible, Yoon explained. Human warfare is about controlling the enemy, not destroying everything permanently. Colonel Daeun addressed the liberated population through captured Vorthon communication systems. This planet is now under human protection. Normal civilian activities may resume immediately.